But she certainly taught you.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
your
Her
solfege
solfege was just, her solfege, it's the French method. It's just so perfect, so good. It just makes you so, I don't know, wakes up your brain to all this rhythm and notes and concentration and paying attention to everything. And it's very good, very good. Anyway, so she was, as opposed to most French ladies, she was quite heavy, but she had very kind of stocky build, though, I don't know. But anyway, they had also, her father had started a music school in Boston, which maybe still is going, the Longy School. Because when I was up there, it was still there. Yeah, it was still there. Well, that was a while ago. But anyway, after that, I went to Tanglewood. I got a scholarship at Tanglewood for 2 summers.
You're still playing violin?
Yeah, when I first went there, I played violin.
What was the concerto you played when you were in
Saint-Saëns Concerto No. 3.
Which you said, what, you don't like or
no,
something?
I don't like it anymore. But that's all right. That's past.
Okay, so you were
I
violin at Tanglewood.
I went there violin, and there were so many violins, all at the kind of same level. No, nobody. Oh, there were a couple really good, but most everybody was just good, but you know, just still not. They could probably all get jobs in orchestras. They all did, for that matter. But still, you know, I just thought, my gosh, there's all this competition here. So the first week I had chamber music with the first violist of the Boston Symphony was Joseph Di Pasquale. And he says, well, why don't you play viola? I don't know what we were talking about. Anyway,
you have big hands.
Yeah, big hands and
like
big
talk.
arms and all that. And so I said, sure. So he got a viola for me from this viola wasn't just a viola maker, but he was a violin maker, and he also sold violins. That I got the viola. He borrowed one
What's
from
like
him.
William
Haenel, not William. Frederick Haenel.
Frederick.
Yeah, and from New Milford, Connecticut. So then I studied. I just switched over like immediately. The second week I was playing in the orchestra there, playing viola. It just fit. But I did. Yes, I could read the clef. Right away, you know, it was easy to pick it up, and size-wise, it was the correct thing. And so then I got a scholarship to go to New England Conservatory for that next winter. And then that next summer I went back to Tanglewood, and then I went back to New England, but then I got a job with the first job, North Carolina Symphony, and so then I started playing.
Summer?
No, that was 6 months, yeah. There was a small group first for 2 months, and then 2 months or 3 months or something, a large orchestra, and we went through all of North Carolina. North Carolina is a progressive state. You don't hear much about it up here, but they have always been big in music and education, and of course they have the Golden Triangle down there now with all the technology, but it's a great state. I always thought that'd be a nice place to live because they have all kinds of weather. They have.
Is that symphony still going?
Yes, as far as I know, it's a year-round thing now. So
when you first started, was Daddy in the orchestra then, or he came later?
That was when I met him.
He was already in the.
That second section was after a lot of the other orchestras were finished. The winter orchestras.
Where did he come from?
So Baltimore. He had been in the Baltimore. He was in the Baltimore Symphony.
Is that how you ended up in Baltimore?
Yes,
Symphony?
right.
Oh, okay.
So he came down there, and Ollie Green from Detroit, and a whole bunch of people from, good orchestras. They came down for that second part, where they enlarged the orchestra.
This is like a summer thing then?
Well, it wasn't summer, it was
post-season.
It was post-season. It was, those days the orchestras didn't last quite as long as they do now. Now they go into June, then they ended in March, maybe the end of March. You know, they were like, orchestras then were like 6-month jobs almost, and a lot of them had summer seasons, but there was always this lull for a couple months or even 3 months maybe in between. So
then in the summer, then you went to Jackson.
Well, later, not in the beginning. Later after we were in Quebec.
But you were in the first year in Jackson.
Yes, right.
And then Daddy ran Jackson for a while?
Yes, he did. First he was It was such a funny thing. We saw an ad in the International Musician, which is a trade magazine. I think that's what it was called. Musicians Union anyway, trade magazine. You know, people wanted in Jackson Hole, and we thought, wow, what a great idea to go out there for the summer and have a you know, a nice holiday. So he called up, and Brian, I only had one child then, so Brian was 4, I guess. And I thought, well, you know, I hope
Were you in
this
Detroit
works.
Symphony at the time?
No, that was after. We were in Quebec, and we didn't know what we were going to do in the summer anyway, because they didn't have it.
What do you mean after Brian? If Brian was born, you already done the Detroit, wasn't he?
Right, I'm saying we.
Oh, you were in Detroit, and then you went to Quebec.
Right.
Okay.
So your dad called up and said, well, you know, I'm a horn player, viola player, and I can get some other people to come out, because he knew all these people in Detroit and everything. So he lined up people, and so the guy hired us on the phone then. And so we drove out there with Brian, not knowing what to expect, and we get out there, and some guy is trying to be some young timpani player or percussion or something that was a real talker. He was trying to be the personnel manager, but he didn't know what he was doing at all. So your dad kind of took over, and then he became the personnel manager and the first horn for several years. So we went back like for 6 years, I think, or so. Then the last year or two, he was the actual manager of the orchestra.
Okay, but weren't you the first violist?
Yeah, I was the first violist.
So you guys were both the first chairs.
Right, right. And we lived in a log cabin because they
Did you have dirt floors?
No.
Did you have
dirt
to
outside. Your dad could fix cars in the yard. He did. He got a car from the Yellowstone. What is it? The company. There was a Yellowstone company that ran tours like through Yellowstone. They had this big Dodge limousine with like 8 seats in it or something like that, and he got that. He bought it, you know, for nothing. They were going to junk it or something and fix that up, and
so
drove it back for a couple of years. He also found this big Cadillac. No, was that a Cadillac? Some other kind of limousine that actually, maybe it's a Chrysler, had a window, you know, in back where you could close the window.
Okay,
you know?
between the driver.
So anyway, that car, that might have been the first year. So he's going to drive it back, and the thing was leaking water. And you know, those are all mountains out there. And in order to get out of there, you got to go up this Togety Pass, it's called. And so he wanted people with us, so we had like an entourage of cars, and we were pulling into these gas stations to get water, and then we drive off all these cars. Oh God! This went on all the way through, you know, Nebraska and Kansas, and Illinois. Oh God!
Who were all the people?
Well, different orchestra people that were coming back east. I mean, everybody was from the east in that orchestra, so we were driving.
Wasn't a slight scandal that you got first viola because you said some quartet was playing?
Well, yeah, what that was the University of Wyoming had a resident quartet, and so each one of those people was going to be first chair in the orchestra, and it was kind of a given. But anyway, he had to. The conductor had auditions for everybody. He had no idea how anybody played or anything. But I played for him, and because I'd been in orchestras and I had a good background and all that, he liked me a lot. So he gave me first chair, and everybody was astounded. And of course, the lady was not happy at all.
Daddy was astounded too.
Yeah, because I hadn't practiced for some time, and we're driving across the country with Brian and everything, you know. So anyway, that year was great because he had all his orchestra pieces that had viola solos in it. It was just amazing. I don't know if he did it on purpose or if he just happened to do that, but it was like every concert there was some piece that had a viola solo within it.
Children's concerts out there too, or
I'm trying to think.
I mean, who went to these summer things?
Wyoming. I mean, there are people all over the place out there, and people in Jackson are all rich, and they're cultured and they're educated, and the place was packed all the time.